All right, so welcome, Sarah Jane. Thank you so much for joining me for a Flutarians live podcast.
Yeah.
I guess we're on a video cast now, so I get to see your face. This is actually my first live stream live from my studio here in Austin with my guest live here on the little couch with me.
Yeah. I just flew in. Man, my arms are so tired.
Oh man, all the way from Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Well, I really wanted to schedule this today because I know that you just released an album.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Pachamama from the Healing Sound Project,
That's
right?
Pachamama. I'm so excited. Thank you so much. I feel so honored to be here.
Yeah.
I'm so glad.
Oh, and we might get a little cameo appearance from Pickle the dog here. She's
Oh my gosh.
she seems to
Hi,
be
Pickle.
requesting to say hello.
And I was telling her earlier, she matches my my shirt. So let's see.
Come on up, come say hi.
Doesn't
There's
she
Pickle.
match my shirt?
Yeah.
Pickle. So I'm so excited to be here, and we also have Jerkin.
Yeah.
Right here.
She's not quite in the frame. I'll
Yeah.
pick her up in a little bit. We have a pickle themed dog house around here.
And it's great because I'm a huge dog fan too, so it works out.
So when I was checking out your social media and Sarah Jane Hargis and Healing Sound Project, I was thinking that Healing Sound Project is almost like what we might call the band name, or is it more like a project name? Why Healing Sound Project?
Oh, that's a beautiful question. Okay, I like how you posed that too. So I would say the healing. Should I look there? Should I look at you?
Either
I
way,
wanna look at you because
know.
I like the human interaction. Okay, so I see you all out there. I'm gonna look at this human over here. So the Healing Sound Project is a project because I really there's so many things I want to start with, but so it's not quite a band because I've done, this is our 4th album, and each album has been with essentially a different artist or different artist involved. So the first Healing Sound Project, which is the 1-to-1, that's 1:1. It's a little weird to research, but 1-to-1 is our first album, and it is with flute and harp, the same harpist that I performed this most recent Pachamama with, which was released today. And then also there is the Elements, which I did with various percussionists that I really love. And that I really love their work, and I did that album for specific reasons with the percussionists. And wait, what did I say?
Percussion?
No, did I say chakras? No, I said elements.
You haven't told us about
Oh my
chakras
gosh.
yet.
Oh my gosh, there's so many different things. Okay, so percussion and keyboard and vibraphone and mounts. I did that actually with Matt Hubbard during the shutdown. It was really interesting because we did our first recording of it when in February, I think.
February 2020?
Yes.
Okay.
And then we were slowly recording. We recorded one of them over FaceTime. Like, he was in the recording studio, and then we still didn't understand what was going on. So there's this, he set up a plexiglass, and I came into the studio. We didn't even like say really hi or touch, like have any interaction. Or I definitely wasn't as close to him as I am to you right now. But it was really an interesting time, and that was with elements. We did percussion and piano and vibraphone and keyboard. It was really so cool. And then chakras is with percussion, so I apologize. So chakras was with percussion and mainly flute, loops. And then I actually have another album that is recorded under Healing Sound Project, and it is just me manipulating sounds within a huge church.
Well, when you were saying percussion earlier, I was thinking, well, naturally, piano and vibraphone, those are still percussion,
yeah, that's
too.
what I was saying. I was
a
like,
little bit
it
more
is still
tonal,
percussion.
yeah.
But it's only one person. That's Matt Hubbard. So the first one was with Andrea Cortez, the harpist. Then Matt Hubbard as a keyboardist and percussionist. And then the chakras with various percussionists. And in Austin, which is really neat. I love that album. And then the last one, most recent one that is released today is Pachamama, and that is with the harpist. And she's the person that I created the Healing Sound Project with. And that's Andrea Cortez.
I was just noticing that you did kind of maybe a full circle in a sense of, okay, you started with Andrea with harp. So I'm curious, why harp then, and why harp now?
Okay, that's a great question. I love it. And I guess I should say, can everybody hear us out there?
I hope so. I see we've got a couple viewers
okay,
now.
Great.
Please drop in the chat where you're tuning in from today. How's the weather there? It's nice and
beautiful.
It's about
here.
75 here in Austin.
Yes,
Feels like November.
So yeah, I love
got
it.
the door open over here. You might hear some birds chirping or dogs barking, something like that.
I love it.
Yeah.
Love it. So why harp and flute? So I have a lot of work in neurological music therapy, and that's how I met Andrea Cortez, the harpist. She's actually a neurological music therapist, and we were doing our masters together in Colorado. And then I decided to go into my master's in flute performance because I love playing, and I still love the brain. So she finished her master's in neurological music therapy, and I finished my master's in flute performance at the University of New Mexico. And when I was looking at where am I going to land, Andrea encouraged me to come here. So we've known each other for many years, and she had her office very close to mine, and she was learning how to play the harp. And so I stopped by her office one day, and she and I just improvised together. It was so much fun. And then she knew that I was doing electronics. I don't know if anybody out there knows me, but you know that I love flute and electronics. And so she asked me to teach her how to do that. And so we went and bought her first pedal, which is actually one of the pedals I have here, the Avalanche Run by Earthquaker Devices. And then we just started playing around with it. She put a pickup in her harp, and we both have been really into how the brain and how music is influenced the brain in such a positive, I don't know, and it's so amazing how music helps the brain in so many ways, or challenges the brain, So, yeah. So I guess that's the Healing Sound Project, because we know how much the healing powers of music can be. And then I have been into meditation most of my life, and yoga since I was a teenager. And so, yeah, I guess that was
that begins to answer it. I mean,
yeah.
I think what I'm taking from that is the healing power of sound has been an important element from the beginning. And well, when I think of harp, and especially harp and flute combined, I think, oh, what a celestial instrument. Right? Celestial, like heavenly, and that gets us thinking into the ideas of like, oh, what is healing? What would heaven be like? What kind of music will we hear there? And personally, most of my experience is in the acoustic world, but I've begun to recognize that with an acoustic instrument like the flute or with the harp, there's so much more that you can do. There's like it's like a whole new instrument when you open up the electronic side of it.
Yeah.
And in our modern day and age, the performance venues aren't always places where an acoustic instrument makes the most sense. So I'm looking forward to learning a little bit from you about the electronics that you use. Oh, you've got 2 dogs in your lap now. Actually, let me give everybody a little view of Sarah Jane and Gherkin and Pickle, and also we've got the pedal board down here.
Yeah.
And we're gonna play a little music with that here in a little while. You get to see some bare flute toes as well.
Yeah. And this is a small setup that I have today. I normally have a huge pedal board in Mexico City at our home there. But I also have a lot more that I do here because I used to play with rock bands and do some experimental stuff with electronics and like distortion and like overdrive, and it was super fun. I love it, love it, love it. And I feel like I've come to a space in my life where I realize how anxious I can be and how important it is as a flutist sometimes, especially in orchestra, to have every single note and all the rhythms down, and like if you don't get it, like just like really scared about that. And just like going through, life in general. I know that there's a lot of studies out there that show that we have a lot of anxiety in our world. And so I have been really coming from how can I, and who I am, make a contribution and make a difference in the world. And I know that for me, I love when I come to a place of meditation, a place of relaxation, a place of peace, whether it be for just a moment. And to be able to create that is just so exciting as an opportunity. And I really feel that just so connection to my electronics and being able to manipulate that in a way that creates a peacefulness within myself and in hopes to make a peacefulness for others. Does that answer you?
Well, I know we could probably talk all night about this sort of stuff. I'm just realizing I should probably share a little bit about my experience just meeting you and getting to know you. I mean, I've been making lots of flute friends this year. Just making a little adjustment here so we can see both of us a little bit better. But yeah, we probably met through online spaces or mutual flute friends here in Austin. And I think when we first connected, you were in Mexico. So I know you split your time between Mexico and Austin. But when I told you what I was doing about improvisation, and you told me that you include improvisation with pretty much all of your flute students at some point, I just knew we had to chat.
Yeah.
And then it was so nice to get to meet you in person in Austin and actually to improvise some music together that first time that we met.
Yeah, I remember
like a musical
saying hello and let's play.
Yeah, I was just remarking to someone last night that it's not uncommon for me to prefer to be playing music at parties than to be talking at parties.
Absolutely.
So when I get the chance to have an authentic musical conversation with someone pretty much as soon as I meet them, sometimes I feel like I get to know them better than I would if it's just small talk, like, hey, how are you? How's the weather? That sort of thing.
Yeah, I love that. I'm a huge improv fan. And, you guys have no idea. I've got these 2 little puppies in my lap. It is super fun.
I got to virtually meet Sarah Jane's big dog Jefe the day before yesterday, and I used to have a big dog, and it's nice to hug and squeeze a dog. It's like a German Shepherd or a Labrador or whatever, but there's something special about having 2 littles in your lap at the same time.
Gosh. I've never had this experience. I'm in loving it.
Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it.
So I have an Anatolian, and I don't know if you guys know what an Anatolian is, or maybe some of you have met my dog, but oh my gosh, he's like human size. His head is bigger than my head. So I think we weigh about the same amount.
I believe that. Yeah. So when I was listening earlier today to Pachamama, which you guys there's the link in the chat, so check it out on your own time. Yeah. I wasn't really...
You can listen to it on whatever platform you listen to. Like, you can find it wherever you listen to music.
Yeah, I think I listened on Pandora and Spotify. when I was listening and just experiencing the music, I wasn't thinking, electronics. I was just enjoying the experience of the flute sounds and the harp sounds. And so I'm curious, in what way did electronics play a role in these recordings?
Oh man, well, I mean, like my instrument is really almost always connected to the electronics. So, and then Andrea Cortez set her looper up, which I brought a looper today, a small looper. So where she's looping the sounds of the harp, and then sometimes playing on top of that, and I'm always, I don't know if there's a moment without electronics and flute, but I want to really clarify, it's not electronics in that like on a computer. I know that that's a thing. I know that electronics manipulated through the sound of the computer, Ableton, all that stuff, totally awesome. However, I am a little old school. And so I like the analog, delay, and just, I don't know. I could go on and on for electronics. So, you know.
Well, would you like to give us a little demo?
Yeah.
Play a little bit for us?
Yeah, I would love that. I just have to get the puppies off my lap.
Here again, right here.
And here's
Pickle. Oh, they're being so sweet.
Okay, so I hooked up my looper, and I brought my bass flute here.
It's a nice looking bass flute.
I love it. I am so grateful. So Altus and Jupiter have allowed me to be an artist for them, and they have given me such wonderful instruments to play over the years. And this is definitely my favorite bass, and then I have my Altus flute here. So they are just so amazing. All right, so it might be loud, but hold your ears, or maybe turn me down until I give you a thumbs up. Stay on the bass then.
Sure. I could go on for like this for days, y'all.
Yeah.
It's fun to see me to see you using your toes to turn the volume. Is that a trade secret?
Yeah, my yoga teachers used to say I'm right-footed and I need to do more controlling of the electronics with my left foot to balance myself out.
Like picking up marbles with your left toes.
Yeah, I could totally do that.
That's probably true. Wow.
Thank you so much for that.
Well, I hope we play a little bit more in a few
Yeah.
minutes. I hope
We
those
can
of
do
you
some upbeat too.
hope those of you who are listening could hear the sustain. Actually, tell us what devices you were using just then. What are they called?
So they're Earthquaker devices, actually, because I'm an artist for Earthquaker devices. I've been so grateful for them. They are awesome, and they're so artful in their electronic pedals. So most of you think of, I think they're called stomp boxes, but I call them electronic effect boxes or pedals in this case, because I feel like a stomp box is kind of doesn't really give it, its full.
Doesn't communicate its essence.
Yeah, exactly. So these are analog boxes. They are by Earthquaker Devices. I have the Dispatch Master and the Avalanche Run. And then I also have a Poly Blue by MXR that takes it down an octave lower. Now, on my board in Mexico, I have another Earthquaker Devices pedal that is called the Organizer. It's so cool. It's similar to this one, and it has such a full sound, because you'll find, I don't know if you're also into electronics. I know we talked like you're not a pedal junkie like me, probably.
Not yet,
but maybe some of you out there are pedal junkies like me, and you'll find with a lot of the multi-effects boxes that they actually sound a little computerized, whereas the pedals that I've picked out specifically from Earthquaker Devices and this MXR and another MXR that I have that's distortion, which I didn't bring today, they're much more, well, like I said earlier, it's more of a tone, like a human, like a real experience instead of like a computerized experience. So those of you out there, I'm guessing you might be flute players. And if you are, you can tell the difference between an electronic version of a flute sound, right? And an actual tone where you can hear the expression, the sound of, well, a real flute, right? So the pedals that I use specifically are supposed to emulate that tone of real. And that's something I've been really contemplating recently. With AI and all that stuff.
Contemplating, like, how does it work, or where's it going to go, or
what's going to happen? Because you look up flute music or flute meditation music, and like all this electronic stuff comes up. And I've been thinking about and reflecting on it a lot, because I feel that I really want to bring a human experience to a meditation. Yeah, we can go and we can listen to an electronic meditation anytime, but this is different, and speaking of which, can I tell you about my next album?
Please.
Oh my gosh, my next album I'm really excited about. I'm really excited about Pachamama too. I probably shouldn't talk about the next one, but essentially it was birthed out of the Silva Mind Method meditation. Okay, and that's where you go into alpha state, where almost all the meditations are just this like metronome sound. It's like da, 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 da. And so what I did was I took the sounds that you were just hearing and manipulated it with a really amazing engineer here, sound engineer, Bob Hoffner, and he was able to take the sound and like get it so you can feel it.
Line up the wavelengths.
Yeah.
Or the beats per minute.
Right, exactly. So it creates that alpha theta brainwave, similar to, you know how some people say, oh, the binaural beats.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I am a mono hearer, so I actually only hear in one ear.
Mm.
And within that ear, I will never hear into two sounds at once. So I was just like, wow, wouldn't it be cool if you could feel it? Similar to like, if you ever been to like a house concert and you feel that like boom, boom, boom kind of sound. So this actually, you can feel the waves, the vibrations of the alpha or theta brainwave. And that's what got Andrea Cortez and I into creating the Healing Sound Project, where we wanted to have people have a real life experience of acoustic, electroacoustic instruments, but created by humans, to have that connection to expression and intention. So each of the songs that you'll hear on each of our albums, and specifically on Pachamama, you'll hear, we meditated before we played it, and we got the intention of what each song means, and then we played the expression of what that might sound like audially. Does that answer your question, or did it go too far?
Well, no, it's not too far. I'm just trying to keep track of my thoughts that I'm having in response. One of them is just thinking about my experiences playing in sound healing sessions, where I haven't really gotten involved so much in the electronic side of it, but when someone walks over you with a didgeridoo or with a bass flute, you can feel it in your body, and actually that combination is one of my favorites, didgeridoo and bass flute, because you get into some of those binaural beats that inspire the beta and theta waves and the meditative mind state, basically. And you were talking about the human component of performing, and when I'm sound healing, I feel like I'm interacting, like I'm making those sounds for those specific people that are in the room at that moment. And I might get some sort of psychic idea about what sort of notes they need at that moment. But I was just thinking about, how does that compare to, for example, your album and your album release? Well, in my brain, it's an album release party, because I know that last weekend or the weekend before, you got to invite some real life people to listen to this music, but that was also partially improvised, right?
It was all improvised.
All improvised, but it had the themes of the same kernels of seeds of ideas as Pachamama, right?
Yeah, so we took several keys, the different keys that we had played within on Pachamama, but everything was completely improvised. Yeah, completely improvised at that show.
I'm holding on to one thought and then
give them to both to me.
Well, I'm just thinking about how, in some ways, it's a special challenge to try and record a healing album that has an improvisation element, knowing that what people are going to listen to is that moment captured. So I imagine that you not only meditated on it right before you went into it, but for days and weeks leading up to it, because how do you put the right energy into that container that people are going to be listening to this on repeat potentially?
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah. And okay, what was the question?
Well, I'm not really sure there is a question. I was just reflecting that it's different. I guess that.
Oh, I have an answer.
Okay.
Okay, I think I have an answer. So one of the first performances that Andrea and I did together under the Healing Sound Project, we did in a large church in downtown Austin, and I actually remember this almost every time I play the sound bath kind of expression. So we improvise, right? And you improvise. And you just mentioned the part about you improvising on the wind, you know, like you improvise on the energy there. And one of the things that Andrea Cortez brought up during our performance, before we performed, because, you know, she's like the science-y person, and I went just all performance. But she said there's a study that was done of people who were in the audience of improvisational experience, right? And during that improvisational experience, the audience was almost right, like when they had the neurodes on, like they researched, the audience was almost writing the music while the improvisers were playing. So I find it right on spot of, well, when I'm in, like you said, the sound bath, then it seems like it's a different energy. Well, it is. It is. It's different. It's a different energy with these pups than it is with my Hefe, you know? It's a different energy with you today than it might be tomorrow. So if we were to do this interview tomorrow, I might come up with some different notes to play, and you might follow along with that in that process, you know? But speaking of which, do you want to play some more?
Yeah.
Or did you have something else you wanted?
Well, I'm just trying to see if I can grab that, whatever that other thought direction was. Oh, well, yeah, I can bring up this question, and that maybe can lead us to an improvisation that had maybe slightly more classical structure, so to speak. I'm just curious a little bit about, like, the origin of, how did you, I assumed that you were classically trained, so
Yeah.
what was the flipping point or the turning point? And for me personally, in my rediscovery of improvisation, it was a lot of internal, like at home in the practice room by myself, not performing for anybody. So I'm curious if there was like an internal side of it for you, or what's the origin story of how you became, you know, rockstar electronics?
Okay, I'm going to try and keep it short because I know I can be long-winded. All right, you just tell me when it's like... Okay, when I was a kid, my mom was a groupie for this for a band, and in like the area where I grew up, and she fell in love with the bass player.
Okay.
And I went to all these shows and rehearsals with them. I don't know if I went to the shows, but I remember the rehearsals very specifically. And he and the guitarist would play with all these electronic pedals. I was like, that's so cool. That is so cool. And then when it was time for me to join the band, I wanted to play the drums. They were like, no, you can't play the drums. I was like, well, I want to play saxophone. My dad wanted me to play trumpet. And they were like, you know, how you do those little tryouts? Well, they put me on the flute, and I was like, well, whatever. Anyway, so I was a flute player. But how am I going to put flutes to electronic pedals? Like, how do you do that? And I was sharing that story during my master's degree in New Mexico with a friend of mine who really was so excited about the idea. And, you know, I was poor college student. And so he went and got some pedals from a pawn shop. He was like, hey, I got these. And it was so cool because his wife would cook for us a meal, and then we would go, there was he had a workshop similar to this. And this is an amazing space that Vic has here, by the way. And then we would just like play around, you know, with different things. And then she would feed us, or he would cook after. It was just so much fun. And that's what started. And it's really interesting, actually, that you personally would ask that question. Because you went to North Texas, right? And Terry Sundberg. Do you know her?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I'm sure you did. So she's she's one of the flutists and one of the teachers there. After I graduated, I was like, what do I want to do now? You know? Actually, I graduated and then I taught at a university, and then I was like, it was just like a 1-year appointment. So I was like, well, what do I want to do now? And I was just kind of traveling around and taking lessons and like, what am I going to do, you know? And I took a lesson. My teacher, Valerie Potter from New Mexico, said, oh, you're going to be in this area in Colorado. Why don't you see if she can give you a lesson because Terry was doing a residency in the summer at one of the music things in Colorado. I'm sorry, Terry, if I don't remember. I'm so sorry. But so she was like, yeah, come on up for a lesson. And so I came up for a lesson, and at that time I was videoing, I was recording all of my lessons so I could go back and listen and see who I was, enjoying like the information from, right? I opened up my computer, and a file that we had recorded was just on randomly. And Terry was like, what is that? I was like, oh, it's nothing. I was like trying to like shut it down, And she was like, no, what is that? And so she had me play it for her. And she was like, that's amazing. You should really explore that. So thanks, Terry. Or Dr. Sunberg. So grateful for you. So grateful for...
Now I'm curious what happened next. Like, what did you do for the rest of the lesson?
No, it was like... I recorded the lesson. We had a great time. And then she was like, let me hear that thing that you had up. And so I played it for her while we had dinner. And she was very encouraging. And every time I see her, I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Because it was her like, hey... you can do this, and also my teacher Alexa Still was just like, yeah, you can do this is great, you can do this. And then I feel Rhonda Larson, I played for her, and she was like, oh my gosh, this is great, you should totally do this, you should just like write. And so I'm just so grateful for all these women that I've mentioned, and a lot of others also. I was just like, what am I going to do next? What am I going to do now? I want to be a flutist. I want to write. I want to compose. I want to do electronics and flute. Then I had a band, Ethereal Spectrum, and we were writing our own music in Austin, and then we were getting asked to play in other places, and the other guys that I was playing with, they were like, I don't know if I want to be touring, because they were at the point in their lives where they didn't want that. So then I did an album on my own, Saving the Queen, where I had just written a bunch of flute and electronic solo stuff, which I've been so blessed to be able to perform at the National Flute Convention and touring around to different universities and speaking about living your dream, because that's all it is. It's just like kind of falling into the pocket. So the answer to your question is yes, I have a few degrees in flute. I feel like I'm so sorry. Oh, and my undergraduate teacher at Eastern Kentucky, because I'm Appalachian. I grew up in the Appalachian Mountains, and I went to school at Eastern Kentucky. And my teacher was like really into jazz. And I think I was the only person in the studio that was like, what is that? And he like introduced me to it, and I might cry. But I'm so grateful. It just seems like all my teachers have been in such an open-hearted, open-ended discussion for me to explore. And I feel like there's a lot of other teachers out there that are like, you have to do it this way and it has to be that way. And I learned that too. And I feel like that allows me to take like being in tune, and playing in a classical way, but I am trained, yes, as a classical flutist. I am trained as an improvisational flutist. And I've been taking lessons with Alex Koch, who is just, he's in the Austin Jazz Hall of Fame, and I've been so blessed to be able to play with him, and you got to see him. Thank you for coming to see him. And he's just such a wonderful flutist and bass flutist, and he's teaching me all about jazz and like chords and everything. So yeah, how did an Appalachian kid end up doing electronics and improvisational flute?
Well, thanks for sharing that origin story. I'm thinking back to the part of your story where I think you said something like you and your college buddy, he just showed up with some pedals and like, hey, let's play, we'll cook. And I'm wondering, did it work from day one?
No, oh my gosh.
How many days or hours?
Explosions still.
It Any
still
machine
working
is
on
a
it.
smoke machine if
Still
you
working on
use it wrong enough. Seriously, things blow
Oh
up.
my gosh. Oh my gosh, I've blown up so many speakers.
So give it. How long did it take for you to figure out like something that was like?
Gosh. Just
this is sweet.
Experiment. And I don't know if you guys noticed, I have this microphone here. I also have another one that that Ann Anderson recommended. Also, Ann Anderson, I'm so grateful for you if you're watching this. So inspired by you and so grateful that you like my music too. Thank you. But he suggested an E6. Now I'm forgetting it. I'm so sorry. But
you can post it in the comments.
Yeah,
section.
I can. Yeah. So it's the microphone that he normally uses. This one is my backup microphone. But it's working the same way. I like it. So I know several other flutists that do electronics and flute, and they use one that clips onto the flute. I like this one because I can be like, well, let's see if this works. CEO of Heart Dance Records. Thank you so much, Sherry. Also a flutist. And she is coming by. We're going to be performing at the Ecstatic Dance Center in Austin.
When's that going to be? This 17th, right?
The 16th. You're very close. 16th of November. Yeah, that's coming up soon. It's a dream of mine to play with her, and so I'm so grateful. She's on tour right now. She's coming from Denton.
Cool.
I keep pointing to him.
Because I lived there.
Yeah.
I studied there for a few years. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not too far from here.
Yeah.
Only like
so she's
maybe
coming,
3-4 hours.
Right. So she's coming down from Denton, and we're going to perform. If you're in the area, then check it out. You know, November 16th at the Austin Ecstatic Dance Center in the South. And I'll also put it on my social media and send it to you too. So, yeah. Oh my gosh. Thank you guys for letting me share all my life and everything. I'm so grateful. Well, thanks for listening, and thanks so much, Dick.
Yeah. As I start feeling my body wanting to move to the little beat you just created there, it makes me think about how when music moves us, literally, there can be medicine in it, in the sense of, some people say that sitting is like the worst thing for your health, and so if you can get up and get moving, start dancing, even just swaying your body a little bit, I think it can get the blood flowing, get the lymph flowing, get the things, the energy flowing in ways that if we're feeling sick or low, it can help us. It can literally help us heal.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the other thing that we've been exploring, or I've been exploring with the Healing Sound Project, is being able to get up and move. You came to one of my shows, right, at the National Flute Convention.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and I want people to go around and listen. That's something that I feel really can be explored in such a way that, you know, when you're in a classical setting, I love classical music, I love orchestra, I love opera. I'm like opera fan all the way. I think I married my husband because he was an opera fan. But you know, like there is settings where you can't really get up and move around. But in our performances, I want people to be able to do that and like hear that the sound is a different experience in different areas of the room.
Yeah. Let's
You want to play some more?
I was like, yeah, let's play a little loop together there. I saw you leaning over to me when it was time for this rattle. This is
oh yeah, that's another thing. Like if somebody else is with you, you can go beep, 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 beep. Let's see if we can get that.
Found out last weekend, I think this is a honey locust seed pod. Oh. I don't remember which friend gave it to me, or if it was from a natural product, a local natural product that makes a nice maraca.
Yeah, I've seen those before. I've seen those on the trees. They're so cool.
Oh, I remember where I was going full circle with that. So why did you name it Pachamama?
Oh yeah, Pachamama. You know, it was something that was really on Andrea's heart. I think that we, you know, it took a few months for us. We did some recordings because we both have clients. We both teach a lot, and we both play a lot. And so we had recorded it over several months, and then we just sat with it. And she was like, "What about Pachamama?" Because a lot of this music on this album, Pachamama, that was released today, it was really focused on our connection to the earth, really.
Mother Earth?
Mother Earth, yeah. And I think that's what Pachamama means, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, we have clouds, which you guys saw in the beginning, and we have the temples of Mexico, because we were kind of meditating on the temples of Mexico, and then we have, I don't know, there's just like, there's a certain earth feeling about it, which I guess goes full circle to what I've been sharing, like the humanness, the live being, and the live earth.
Mm-hmm. Being grounded.
Yeah, oh my gosh, and that's been something that's been amazing in my life recently. So I've been able to ground almost every morning. Just put my feet. You want to
tell our viewers what exactly you mean by that?
Yeah, did I tell you? Do you know that I do that?
I know that. I knew that you did that because when we were preparing our NFA proposals, you were on the phone with me and you were like, "Gosh, I feel so much better now that I'm outside and I have my feet on the ground."
Yes.
So. Yeah.
Okay, so I really have found that when I get outside and put my feet on ground, on earth, I'm not talking about with our shoes or concrete or sidewalk, like getting on earth, then I feel more centered. And I have been focused on that for the last, I would say, since March or April. It's been really amazing just to, like, every morning I'm going for 10 to 30 minutes and just being on the earth. And without any shoes on, it's called earthing, I think.
Earthing, or grounding.
Or grounding.
Like the ground in your, like the third prong on the bottom plug on your, in the wall. That goes into the ground.
Right.
And we are electrical beings.
Right.
And the earth is an electrical thing.
Right.
So when we are literally connected through the ground, there's an electrical discharge potentially that can happen.
Yeah, I was going to show you what it looks like. But yeah, so you have the little two, like, and then a little one on the bottom. That's the ground. And a lot of times, like when I'm at our apartment in Mexico, I like go with Hefe, with my dog, straight to, we're walking, and even though Mexico City is built on top of a swamp, we still find an area, like a dog park area, when I take off my shoes and I sit on the ground while Hefe, like, hangs out with the other dogs. And every morning, and when I'm in Austin, I get up and I go straight to the earth. And it has made such a difference in my health and my well-being, and then just like meditating every day. And then I know I told you all, I mentioned to you earlier, I've done yoga with my mom since I was a kid, like maybe like 10 or 11. And I had gone to visit my dad in August, and I was doing some earthing, and I didn't have any specific space where I could do yoga for my yoga class, and my yoga class was starting, so I just did it in the backyard. It was great. And I've started doing that here in Austin too when I'm here.
Cool.
It's awesome.
It's nice to be in the fresh air and feet on the ground.
Yeah, even in 90-degree weather, it's still...
The sweating is good for you. Well, some of you, my viewers, now, currently, or in the future may know that I've been running some group improv games, which is so fun because
Tell me about that.
well, if you haven't, do you have any friends who are actors who go to like improv acting classes? So it's just like that, where there will be a little prompt, and it's usually a collaborative game versus a competitive game. So a collaborative game is like when one person tells one sentence of a story and another person tells the next sentence of the story, and together you make a little story together.
Yeah.
And I have these things that I call improv scaffoldings, and I chose the word scaffolding because scaffoldings are what they put up when you're building a building, but it's not finished yet. So the scaffolding is like an incomplete composition, but one of my favorite ones, I was thinking maybe we could play with it now because it's a very simple little thing, but you can extend it into an hour or all day really if you want to.
That's awesome.
So I feel like for us flutists mature in our musicality, a lot of times we feel more dramatic with the minor modes than the major modes. So it's just the supportive flute plays an A, like a low A, and that's implying like a A minor chord.
Oh, yeah.
And then they play a G, like a low G, and it's implying like a G major chord. So even though as flute players we can only play one note at a time and we can't really truly play it, well, I can't play a chord by myself. When we play together, we can create a chord, and when we play a kind of low note, our ears kind of interpret that a chord is implied. So the two ways that I do this are with rhythm and without rhythm. Without rhythm, it's basically just long tones. A, G, A. And the soloist can either play freely in the A minor scale or stick to the chord tones. Chord tones are going to feel more consonant. But you can also do it with rhythm where it's like A, G, 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 G. Maybe not quite that fast, but how about I support you with that A, those A's and those G's, and you can play around a little bit, and then maybe we can switch roles a little bit.
Yeah, we can totally do that. Unless you want me to set it up for you.
Ooh, let's do a loop.
Yeah.
How about can I lay down the rhythm?
Yeah, sure. Do you want it to be low or high, or what do you want?
You mean in volume?
Or no, in pitch.
In pitch.
Like,
well,
I have this thing here.
Ooh. Well, you could kick it down an octave, I guess. That might be fun to try.
Yeah, sure. We'll just do a little bit.
So I'll start and I'll keep going, and since you have the masterful toe to start it and end it. I know timing is very important when you touch that pedal.
It is.
So I'll let you discover when the right moment is.
Okay, so you want me to start right now, or?
I'll start playing.
Yeah, why don't you start playing and then I'll bring it in. How's that sound?
little percussion.
And by the way, I have a lot of time as a percussionist also.
So you probably have great rhythm compared to the average
Well,
flutist?
no, I just like, I always hear that percussive thing. It might come out differently though this time. Let's see. Thank you.
Hey, thank you,
That was
Sarah
awesome.
Jane. That was fun.
I love it.
Thank you to all of those of you who are viewing now and in the future.
Yeah.
If you liked this improv, please drop it in the comments what you thought of it. Encouragement for us to do more collaborations, which I'm sure will happen in the not too distant future.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Thanks for listening. Thanks for letting me share my life with y'all.
Yeah, and again, you can get the link to the album in the comments here. Thanks so much for joining me, Sarah Jane.
Absolutely.
Any other things you'd like to share with the Flutarians before we move on with our
Oh my gosh,
Friday
if you
evening?
have the opportunity to come see these cute little puppies, oh my gosh, they're the best. They really are.
I see.
Well, and that was awesome. I guess, like, for the Flutarians, for the improvisational aspect, is that what you mean?
Oh, just in general, anything you want to share.
Keep on fluting.
Keep on fluting. Maybe one day next year I can do a little Flutarians retreat here in Austin, and y'all can meet Pickle and Gherkin and maybe Sarah Jane too. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks.
Thank you.
And,
thank you,
I'll
everybody.
see you all later.
Oh yeah, and check out Pachamama.
Yeah, check it out.